Imagine this. A man treats you like a sanctuary one week, and a stranger the next. That flicker of intensity he started with, gone. His softness, evaporated. His interest, slipping through your hands like water. And you sit there wondering what you did wrong. Did you say too much? Want too much? Expect too much? Let me interrupt that thought right now. Because the truth is far more strategic, far more predictable, and far less flattering to him than anything you've imagined. A man doesn't pull away because you overwhelmed him. A man pulls away because you accidentally exposed the version of himself he's been avoiding. Here's the part most women never realize. Men do not feel emotionally safe with the women they admire. They feel emotionally safe with the women who ask nothing of them. And that single truth explains almost every confusing romantic experience you've had. Pay attention to this part, because once you see the pattern, you cannot unsee it. The men you attract split into two emotional categories. The ones who see you and rise, and the ones who see you and hide. And hiding is easier. Hiding always feels safer, especially for a man who lives on borrowed confidence. But before we go deep into the psychology, let's start with the pain point, the moment where everything in you tightens. You've met him. There's a spark. He pursues you with clarity at first. He studies you, watches you, mirrors you. You can feel him tuning himself to your frequency. And just when you start to open, just when you begin to trust the rhythm, his behavior shifts, slightly at first. A delayed reply, a shorter message, a vague excuse. Then the slow fade begins. But here's the pattern. Interrupt you're not expecting. His withdrawal is not a sign that you misread the situation. His withdrawal is a sign that you read him too well. Men do not retreat when they lose interest. They retreat when their emotional equilibrium is threatened. And women like you, women who think, observe, question, analyze. You are a threat to a man who hasn't built a stable sense of self. Not because you're intense, not because you're intimidating, not because you're too much, because you reflect him back to himself with painful accuracy. Here's what most people don't realize. Men feel emotionally safer with women who let them stay precisely who they are, even if who they are is underdeveloped, inconsistent, or flimsy. This is the part that stings. A man will often open up more to the woman he feels less for, not because she's special, because she's undemanding. She doesn't challenge his narrative. She doesn't question his excuses. She doesn't require him to stretch, grow, or evolve. She accepts the surface-level version he's comfortable presenting. She is the emotional equivalent of a dimly lit room. He can exist there without seeing the mess he's made. But you turn on the lights. Not intentionally, not aggressively, simply by being who you are. You see patterns. You ask questions that corner him into honesty. You have standards that expose where he cuts corners. You have discernment that distinguishes effort from performance. And a man who is not ready to grow will always interpret clarity as pressure. This is the mistake that changes everything. You think he's choosing her over you. He's not. He's choosing comfort over evolution. Let me give you a real example. A 2022 study from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that men reported significantly higher emotional comfort with partners who required less introspection or accountability. Less accountability equals less ego threat. Less ego threat equals more perceived safety. And this is where things shift. Because you've been told your whole life that men pull away, because women are difficult, needy, demanding, or dramatic. No. Men pull away when a woman's presence forces contact with their undeveloped self. And nothing terrifies the ego more than exposure. But here's where the dynamic turns even darker. Men are not just comfortable with women who don't challenge them. They're addicted to them. Addicted to the ease. Addicted to the lack of tension. Addicted to the ability to perform the bare minimum and be applauded for it. It's not love. It's not intimacy. It's emotional anesthesia. And once a man tastes anesthesia, he'll avoid anything that resembles real emotional labor. This is the part where you might want to pause and take a breath. Because I'm about to reveal something you've probably felt, but never articulated. When a man senses your intelligence, your accuracy, your emotional precision, he instinctively becomes strategic. Men become strategic around women who can see them, not because they want to manipulate you, but because they want to protect the person they pretend to be. He doesn't lie to you because he's evil. He lies to you because he's scared you'll confirm the truth he hasn't fully accepted. And nothing exposes a man faster than a woman who refuses to be confused. This is where men panic. And panic always leads them to the easiest exit. The woman who doesn't challenge them. The woman whose questions are soft. Whose expectations are low. Whose insight is limited. Whose standards are flexible. The woman who can be managed. Let me interrupt the heaviness for a second. If you're still watching, you're clearly built for this kind of honesty. Subscribe if you want more of it. I drop these psychological breakdowns regularly, and you don't want to miss them. Now, let's go deeper. Because we haven't reached the darkest part. You think the woman he feels safe with is winning. She's not. She's simply holding the version of him that cannot survive in the real world. You, on the other hand, ignite a version of him that terrifies him. The version that requires intention, discipline, truth, and emotional courage. But men avoid the women who force them to grow, until avoiding them becomes more painful than evolving. And when that moment comes, when the silence he chose becomes suffocating, guess who he remembers? Not the woman who soothed his ego, the woman who challenged it. He remembers the woman who didn't flinch when he tried to hide, the woman who didn't collapse when he became inconsistent, the woman who didn't negotiate with crumbs, the woman who made his excuses feel small. That's the thing about emotional safety. Men chase it in the wrong direction. They run toward comfort and away from accountability, only to wake up realizing comfort never made them better. It merely made them forget who they were supposed to become. And while he's busy protecting the fragile version of himself, you sit there thinking you weren't chosen. But let me offer you the truth with no sugar. He didn't choose her because she's better. He chose her because she's easier. And men have always mistaken ease for safety. Here's where things shift again. If you've ever wondered why a man will pour his secrets into a woman he barely respects, it's because vulnerability feels less risky when the witness has no real power. A woman who can't hold him accountable becomes a confession booth. A woman who can see him too clearly becomes a threat. It's not romance. It's risk management. And risk management has destroyed more potential relationships than incompatibility ever has. You don't lose men because you're difficult. You lose men because you're accurate. Accuracy is frightening. It strips away the performance he's spent years building. It reveals the inconsistencies he hopes no one notices. It forces him to confront the gap between the man he pretends to be and the man he actually is. And most men will sacrifice intimacy to protect the illusion. Let me ask you something directly. Have you ever noticed that the men who tell you you deserve better are almost always the ones who refuse to become better? That line isn't noble. It's a shield. It's a preemptive apology wrapped in false humility. I'm not ready. I don't want to hurt you. I'm not enough for you. These are not confessions. These are escape routes disguised as self-awareness. And every time a man announces his inadequacy, he's hoping you'll lower the bar to match him. This is where the dry humor kicks in. Because honestly, men talk about not being enough the same way people talk about not going to the gym. They aren't incapable. They're comfortable. If you've ever watched a man suddenly become dependable, consistent, and emotionally literate for a woman after treating you like a provisional option, don't be confused. He didn't level up for her. He leveled up because avoiding himself became unbearable. You were the catalyst. She was the landing pad. But let's get brutally real. Women who don't challenge men provide temporary emotional shelter, not permanent emotional evolution. They stabilize him. They soothe him. They protect him from himself. Until the day comes when she starts to ask questions, and he realizes he's right back where he started, only older and with fewer excuses left. And this is where the dynamic reverses. The woman he felt safest with becomes the woman who now threatens him. Because her tolerance has expired. Her softness has limits. Her acceptance has boundaries. Her patience has an end date. Comfort always expires. Growth does not. And when he finally outgrows his own avoidance, when he finally confronts the version of himself he's been dodging, he remembers you. The woman with clarity. The woman with standards. The woman with psychological accuracy. The woman who refused to dim herself so he could feel tall. This is the irony men never anticipate. The woman who challenges you is the woman who emotionally saves you. But most men learn that too late. Now before we wrap, if you're still here, you obviously like this kind of psychological breakdown. So subscribe. Hit the button. I drop these uncomfortable truths often, and you don't want to miss the next one. Also, my coaching link is pinned in the comments section. If you want personalized strategy and clarity, that's where you'll find it. And my landing page is finally done. You'll see it in the description in the pinned comment. There's a free PDF and a video there. Read it, watch it, and don't forget to subscribe to the newsletter. And yes, you can pre-order The Feminine Game, the landing page for the coming courses. If this video hit you in the chest, those courses will feel like a full reconstruction. Before you go, I want you to comment something for me. What's one moment you realized a man felt safer with someone who asked nothing of him? I'll be reading the comments.